Hey guys. All right. Today we have 5 things homeowners should do when hiring a service professional. And we're going to go over some of the uh, top 5 things that I think are important when homeowners interact with their service professionals, whether it's a plumber, electrician, HVAC, cement, even general contractors, whoever it is, even handyman. So, let's get right on into this. Number one is the simplest and I think the most valuable, and that is be accommodating and be kind. Okay. Uh, One of the biggest annoyances that I have found in this profession is that I'll get to a customer's house and they say, hey, furnace is over here. It's back in the corner, and they never cleaned the room. They never moved anything. They didn't make it to where it was easy for me to get in. Basically, I had to come in, move furniture, move their belongings, move other things that I shouldn't have to do. And it's these things that add time to our job, and ultimately, you will get billed for this. And being kind, meaning when you have a service professional over, greet them with respect. Don't treat them like dirt. Don't treat them like they're paid help. Welcome them in, and make their job as easy as they can. If they have to go under a house, go around, show them where a crawl space is. If they have to get into an attic, go and show them where the attic access is. And in California, and Nevada, where they put a lot of things is in the attic. And so typically those accesses, on these bigger homes can be in the master bedroom closet. And what happens in a closet? Well, that's usually people's store all. So, if I have to come in and you have 10-foot ceilings, means I need an 8-foot ladder to get in. And that takes about 5 foot of space, when the legs are when the legs are open. And there's nothing more frustrating than when I see, expensive clothes or just things on the ground, or, even times when you have an 8-foot ceiling and I got to use a 6 foot and leaning against the built in shelf. People just don't move their clothes. They don't think ahead. They don't do anything that prevents damage or prevents me from, getting hurt, anything like that. So as homeowners, if you're kind and you're accommodating, I think those make the job go a lot better. Now, going into number two. Number two is something I have found. It's not with every customer. I would say it's really only about 20% of them. And it's common between the wealthy and the not so wealthy. And that is your furnace broke, it's cold, and you need immediate service. Or, maybe you had an electrical problem or your plumbing backed up and you need someone right now. And most of the time, most companies will be happy to accommodate. The be kind aspect really goes a long way in that, because if you're kind and you're respectful and you help accommodate, then yeah, most likely we're going to try and make you a priority to get to you and get you taken care of. Versus you get some customers that have that kind of entitled attitude where they think their problem is the most important problem and it's the only problem that we have to deal with. And when we come with those customers, they typically get put to the back burner just because, we don't want to deal with rude people. We don't want to deal with people where, uh, you know, they have no thought beyond themselves. Maybe the guy that you call out, if he comes out at the end of the day, maybe he's ran 10 calls. Maybe he started at 6 a.m. Maybe he's had a lot of failures throughout the day, or just mishaps, or just negative things happen between customers. Maybe he stepped in shit. Maybe he broke a water line. Maybe he, damaged a wall while trying to take care of a customer, and then the last thing that individual wants to do is deal with an individual that uh, does not want to have empathy or any compassion. They aren't appreciative of the fact that they came out, they want to take care of their problem, and they want to get things done. So what I always tell folks is your problem does not constitute as an emergency in my book. People call all day, and what you'll find is that it's a first come first serve typically. If you're calling in at 5 o'clock on a Friday and you're expecting someone to get out, well, good luck. You're calling service company Christmas Eve evening, and you tell them, hey, there's an emergency rate, it's $300 just for us to come out. And then they jump your bones saying, well, you don't deserve that. Why do I have to pay so much? This and that. When really, we want to spend time with our families too. We want to enjoy our home. It's the most annoying thing is, like, for me, on average, I spend about 3 to 4 waking hours at home every day. I get home, I have enough time to interact with my family and to eat dinner, shower. Maybe I have a little time to prep for the next day. And then it's bedtime. Go to bed, wake up at 5, 6 every morning, get out the door by a certain time and get it on. And for me, it's a never ending cycle. I had to take weekends off because I was working weekends too doing that. And that will burn out an individual. So, when you're dealing with service techs, generally, if they've made it a career and they're good at it and they want to please and they want to do the job right, as clean as possible, have some compassion for those individuals, have some understanding, and realize that, yeah, you have a problem. We want to solve it, but we can't get there right now, and sometimes that just is the case. I hate having to tell customers when they call, and they've called every other company in town saying, well, they're 2 weeks out. And I tell them, yeah, well, I'm 6, 7 days out. Maybe I'm 3 days out. And it's just not good enough for them. And that's really frustrating and annoying. So, as a homeowner, if you can have some understanding in that aspect, that's going to go a long way with your service provider. I would say 3 is kind of goes with number 1 on the accommodating aspect, which is keep the work area clean, or clean the work area if you have like laundry laying around, you have vacuum laying around, you have other things in the way of where we need to go, and we have to bring in ladders, we have to bring in large tools. Clean the work area in front of the space, or at least where we got to get in the attic or the crawl space or wherever. Get it to where your stuff is not in the way, to where we don't have to deal with it. Because there's nothing more frustrating than when you're trying to make a repair and the person didn't move their stuff, and you're always having to be mindful of their belongings, trying not to damage it, trying not to ruin it. And in a lot of cases, maybe even not move it just because it's not our stuff. We don't want to disrespect it. We don't want to ruin it. A lot of the time, like, I have dirty hands. And when I go and touch things that are white, or light colored, and my hands are dirty, well, now my hand marks are going to get on it. Say I have to move a couch to get to an air register. Well, I don't mind moving the couch usually, but I also do it with the expectation that, they know I have dirty hands. They know that I can't, I'm not as clean as them because they just hang out in their home or whatever. So that aspect goes, I think, with rule number 1, and be accommodating. Accommodate the repair guy, accommodate the construction company, whatever you got to do. Now, number 4 is funny because I think it's really only about 5% of my customers, but I get them frequent enough that I think it needs mentioning, which is Do I need to get you a pillow? And, you might ask, well, what am I saying? Well, when I'm out in the field and, I'm trying to make a repair on a system, and you may have someone that's just not as trusting, or they're curious, or, they want to make sure that things are done right so they don't get ripped off. Okay, I get it. And you're entitled to that. But if you're trying to talk to me while I am working or trying to focus on fixing your system, all that does is take away from me. It takes away from you as well. If I can't focus to give you the best service that I can, then while you're, chirping in my ear, saying, telling me all about your life story, whatever it is, as interested as I usually am, I I just can't have you there while I'm working. Wait until the service tech or the repair guy has maybe finished his work, or maybe even before his work. you know but keep in mind, it's all time, it's all billable time. And I know a lot of companies that will have no problem listening to you, but they're also going to bill you for it. They may not directly write it out as such, but they are going to work that into their bill. So the joke is they're standing so close that, or they're watching over me, or they're standing over my shoulder, so I need to get them a pillow for them to lay their head on. And I implore customers to be friendly, but I also want them to keep a boundary while we're working. Because the last thing we want is for us to get hurt, them to get hurt, or we damage the system more because we're trying to do something and you're over here distracting. So that's something I think that uh, it's not every homeowner, but it definitely is enough of them to where I feel like we need to mention it. Now, number 5, which is the last one, I think this is, I think it's a good note to end this video on. What we really want to look at is from homeowners is, do they appreciate and are they understanding of the situation? So on the surface, appreciation and understanding, we look at that as, we fixed your problem. We got it done in 15-20 minutes. Yes, we give you a bill for $300-$400, maybe more. But are you the type of homeowner that's going to appreciate the service that you got? Are you going to appreciate that someone came out? Maybe it was during a storm. Maybe, uh, the company is overwhelmed and they're understaffed, and they're trying to get to you and take care of you. Having appreciation for your service goes a long way. Now, I don't want to just make that a blanket statement and say you got a guy, a chuck in a truck comes out, damages your home, and charges you a bunch of money. I mean, I don't really see much to appreciate in that. However, if you have a company, or say you have a company that is a single owner, operator, which I am, and I probably will be for a while, we get overwhelmed because we get all the phone calls. We have the business side to take care of, we have the service side to take care of, and all we're trying to do is be fair. Sometimes we go above and beyond without expecting any kind of compensation for it. I've had times where I'll add in, I see 2 parts are out. Maybe it's an older lady, or maybe it's just a young family, doesn't have a lot of money, where, hey, yeah, the flame sensor needed to be cleaned, but your gas valve is starting to fail, or a pressure switch is starting to fail. So then what I'll end up doing is I'll talk to them about the main repair, and then some of the ancillary issues that need to get taken care of. But what I'll do is that some of the ancillary stuff I won't charge them for, because if it's something I have in the truck, it's cheap. It doesn't take anything out of really my pocket. Then I'll go ahead and take care of it, because I'd rather have a happy and warm, comfortable customer than to have a customer that is, you know, uh, doesn't understand or thinks that it's owed to them or whatever. So appreciation goes a long way, because there's a lot of guys like me out there that we want to give the best service that we can, be as fair as we can, and uh, you know, try and put priority to a lot of our customers. And there's nothing worse than when you've been trying to help someone and uh, they just there's nothing in them that conveys that kind of appreciation. There, it's more like you were hired help, and that gets to be very frustrating at times. You know, when you work for the government, I completely understand. When you work in heavy commercial, I completely understand. But when you're dealing with people's homes, you know, it's like, come on, man. I mean, even when I have to hire someone, and I do from time to time, I try and, you know, appreciate what they do. I pay them what they're worth. I don't haggle with them. And if I feel that the price is low, I add in more dollars to where I think is fair, because I do understand, you know, yeah, that part might have been $7 and it might have taken you 20 minutes to go ahead and replace it. But I think what really bugs people is that, you know, guys like us, we had schooling, we had experience, we had our failures. Uh, you know, we get cut constantly, we get injured constantly, and all in the guys are all in the hopes that we're doing something good for someone else. You know, we're trying to help someone, whether money's involved or not. You know, we all need to eat. You still need to buy that loaf of bread, but are you going to buy from the guy who, you know, charges 5 cents for that piece of bread and you only have four and he says, no, go away? Or are you going to go to the one that, you know, understands that everyone has a hard time from time to time and, you know, we want to help? So I think in that aspect, appreciation for the service that you get and the fact that someone's there, someone's willing to help you, and someone is willing to take the time to come out and help your problem. So that's one side of that. The other side is understanding. Okay. Uh, I have had some extremely understanding customers, and I've had some brutal, unforgiving ones. What I can say is that when I have the customers that are understanding to whatever the situation may be, uh, I tend to go the extra mile for them, you know, because they're also typically the same people that appreciate what's going on. So a good example is this is like, I do some home warranty work, you know, for a pretty big company. And uh, one of the issues that we run into is that this company will not replace equipment unless it is irreparable or the cost of repair is close to what the cost of a new unit will be, which has helped out a lot of folks. But the problem is that, and this is the understanding and appreciation aspect, is, you know, if I condemn a system, what ends up happening is, you know, it can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months to get everything approved, get everything ordered, get everything in stock and ready to go. Then we have the scheduling side, which is once everything is in, once we're ready to go, we still need to schedule the job. And, you know, under normal, I would say the private side of contracting, you know, when I get to deal with my customer directly, uh, I can contract, I can go and gain the material, and I can start it on my schedule sooner rather than later. Whereas, like with home warranty, what you end up finding is that, I've had the wealthy in home warranty, and I've had the impoverished in home warranty. And what I find is that, yeah, the furnace may break when it's 20 degrees outside. Yeah. And I tell folks, well, the process that I have seen from this company is uh, I have to submit my information, submit my work order, and then they have to go over it internally. That can take a week. Then they have to reach out to you and get in touch with you as a homeowner and, get the approvals for things. And then once that happens, and that can take a week or two, depending on how responsive the homeowner is, then that rolls into purchasing, which then can take a week or two. And depending on how the availability of equipment and parts are, which we've had some tough times, it can take 2 or 3 weeks to get something. So then that's added in. But let's say for good measure, it takes a week on that. They get it, they send me the PO, I get it, and then in 3 to 5 days, it's ready. So right there, we're at 3 to 4 weeks. And then from there, once I get the PO and I can start kind of getting things together and figure out a schedule, I may have a week and a half's worth of work that I have to get through before I can even schedule that installation, because I can't necessarily put off all these other people who uh, called in. They need help, they need service, and they're willing to pay. So, though they tend to, it's more or less first come, first serve, and it's not that they get a priority. They only get the priority because they called and they were ready first. So, we have things like that we deal with. And so this is where understanding really comes in. Even on the private side, commercial work, we have times where, say, I find a cracked heat exchanger. Well, replacing a unit could be $25,000, $30,000. So the customer is more willing to pay 3 or 4 or even $5,000 to make the repair if necessary. So I'll order the heat exchanger, and then one of the worst things I get from my wholesalers is we don't know when it's going to be in, or it's a 3 month lead time on receiving that part or whatever it is. So then I have to tell the customer, hey, you know what? I got it ordered, but it's going to be 3 weeks until it comes in. When it comes in, I'll be able to get my hands on it. I'll call you, I'll schedule, and we'll go from there. Well, you get a lot of customers where they say, I can't do that. I can't, and that's all I hear. They try and put me in a corner where I'm supposed to work some kind of magic. And sometimes I can, but more times than not, it is what it is. And I have to deal with that. So then what happens is that I get a disgruntled customer, not because of necessarily something I did, but because of something in the chain of getting something completed. And it becomes really frustrating for us because, we aren't getting that understanding that we're looking for from our customer, where they say, you know what, we understand and we're saving money doing this way. Let us know when it's ready. When you have customers like those that are more easygoing, it's it's less stress on our mind. It's less added pressure. So, if you really want the best experience that you can out of your repair work or your service or your installation or your addition or your build or your remodel, whatever it is, when you're getting into general construction and you're doing, say, remodels, well, those get even more crazier. I've done jobs where they ordered the windows for a new build and they can't get inspection until the windows are in. Well, the windows are 6 months out. Well, then what happens? Well, everything stops and it builds frustration and people get resentment and all these other aspects. And you tend not to get the best quality of work, I think, out of companies when you have a lot of those kind of issues happen. So I want to wrap this up by, just kind of going over the bullet points, which is, be kind, be accommodating, and not Every problem you have is an emergency. If your basement is flooding or your house is flooding, as a homeowner, you should know some basic key aspects to your home, which is how to shut power off, how to shut water off, how to turn on and off your equipment, how to shut gas off. These different little things that as a homeowner, I think are very important. Um, and a lot of them just don't know. And so, you know, you have to understand that yes, you have a problem. No, it's not my primary problem. No, it's not an emergency on my end. So, just because you have a problem does not constitute as an emergency on our end. It just is what it is. Keeping the work area clean. So clean the work area before your guy gets there. If he has to work on a toilet and you got fucking piss everywhere, be a nice person. Fucking clean it. There's nothing worse than when you have to, like I do this all the time because it's just how homes are built. There's a little register, sits between a wall and a toilet, and I have to get in there, work on it, seal it, whatever. And the fucking toilet's disgusting, and I have to put my head close to it. I have to breathe that in. I have to touch things. I have to, handle things. And that is just disgusting. Or you're a hoarder. Well, fucking make a path. We aren't here to judge how you live your life. We just want to get in and get out. 10 cats, no litter box. Find that very common. And I don't even know how people live like that. Put some damn air fresheners in, open some windows, air it out, do something, help us be in an environment that we are okay working in. We already climbed through rat shit in attics to fix your air conditioner. The least you could do is, if we got to get next to the toilet, clean the damn toilet, clean the bathroom, clean your room. God, how many people have such messy freaking rooms? Clothes everywhere, shit everywhere. They don't pick up after their kids if they have kids. Man, I tell you, most people are disgusting living creatures. I could do a whole day on that. That's for sure. So, do I need to get you a pillow? Remember, that's all in reference to giving space to the individual working. We all understand that there is a propensity to want to watch over the individual, figure out what they're doing. Maybe you're curious. Maybe you're trying to learn something to save yourself some money in the future. And in some cases, I'm sure folks like me and others in other fields won't have a problem obliging you and maybe showing you some basic things so then you can save some money and you don't have to waste our time and we don't have to bill you for that time. And then lastly is appreciation and understanding. Appreciate the work that is being done for you. Appreciate the service that you're getting. If the service is, if they're respectful to you, they respect your stuff, respect your privacy, respect all these different aspects of, a private home or even a commercial business, then what you're going to want to do is have some appreciation for that. If as long as the guy's not robbing you blind and he's trying to treat your home with some respect, then you should appreciate that, and you should appreciate the fact that chances are this guy is going to go out of his way to try and improve things for you and try and get your job done as quick as possible. So and then understanding, which is if something doesn't come in on time for us, if we have to order and we have to wait, well, we feel bad about that as well. So have some understanding. Or maybe we're asking you to move part of your fence because we need to get in there. Well, have some understanding and help us out. If we have to go be fence maker and furniture mover and, interior designer just to be able to get our job done, well, that just adds time for us. It adds stress. It adds complexity to the job. And it's just it doesn't make for a good working relationship. Lastly, I want to mention this is, if you find a contractor that you really like, you trust, he's fair, he does good work by your standards, and uh, you tend to have recurring problems. Maybe you don't even have recurring problems. Maybe you just want to keep maintenances up. Maybe you just want to keep a working relationship with that company. You know, I recommend that when you find that company, you build a good relationship with them. And when that happens, is then you start becoming a priority customer, a repeat customer, a customer that pays well, pays on time, appreciates the work you do, and is doing things to try and proactively prevent failures or prevent service calls or prevent potential injury or damage or whatever it is, like maintenances, for instance. I have a select few customers that call me religiously for maintenances. And that's just because I tell folks, the maintenance allows us to be able to look at the system, evaluate the components of the system, and then kind of let you know where they stand. And if we find some things that are out of balance, out of reading, out of spec, that gives us a chance to come to you when it's not an emergency and get it handled. And chances are you're going to get a discount on that service, because now um, we're not trying to do this in the middle of a snowstorm or middle of a heat wave to get you back going. Now it's, if you call in spring for your AC maintenance and we find a couple things out, well, then I can come to you and say, well, we're not as busy right now. We can handle the additional workload, and we can go from there. Here's the price, here's the breakdown. You get a 10% break for being a preferred customer, and it makes the process better. So if you end up finding a customer that you really like working with, then I recommend that you retain their services and you work with them regularly, at least a couple times a year if you can, and build that rapport, because that's really going to stand out to most service professionals. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave a comment or shoot me an email. Like and subscribe, obviously. And I have been trying to kind of put more thought and emphasis into things that are going to improve a technician's life, as well as improve the homeowner, or at least the end user, the customer's experience. So with that being said, you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you soon.